All right, the first thing I want to warn you about is I cut my nails. All right, now, this is the front unit. All right, this is where the dial goes on. And there's a little pin sticking out of here. And that keeps the dial lined up. So I think if you break any of these, gears apart, even a couple teeth, that'll throw your dial off. Okay, and I don't know how to calibrate it, so I'll be cleaning this gunk of a mess up with Q-tips the hard way, re-oiling it and calling it a day. All right, and in order to get this out, all right, let me show you the back of the transmitter. In order to get this mechanism out of here, I had to take the capacitor in the middle out. So in order to work on this radio mechanically, you better be prepared to take more than one capacitor out, tuning capacitor, that is. All right, and that's just the way it is sometimes. Now, this will not come out of the radio unless you take out, see this is a locking mechanism. Okay? And on the front of the radio, you'll find a knob that says lock. And after the transmitter is tuned up, they turn these levers, or these knobs, and it locks the radio in position. So no one can bump it, or during bombing and strafing and when they get shot with flak, I believe it's called, and the aircraft jumps around and violently shakes, the radio will stay on frequency. Okay? But in order to get it out, besides the knob, the tuning knob, which would go here, you have to take the knob out of the front panel. Here's the little part that's on the back side, and it moves like a cam. It moves these two arms, and it keeps you from being able to tune the dial on the radio. Okay? This is a warning for someone that goes this far. Okay, I had no warning. It would have been nice if someone did a video, and then I said, you know what, I don't need that type of nonsense. But this front dial is also a split gear. All right, so this thing was really made to be very accurate for back in those days. Okay, without going crystal control. That's why this VFO is very accurate, because they really put the extra mechanical mechanisms in it to make it so. All right, and I want to say that part that's missing out of mine is a roller inductor. I called it a roller coil, but it's a roller inductor, and that's missing out of mine. And little by little, you know, right now I'm working also. I'm doing spring cleaning. Yeah, I know we're in the fall, but it got so hot in the springtime, so quick, so early, that I didn't get to do my housework, and it got really bad in here. Besides this room being really bad, the rest of the house, you know, I just basically gave up. And people are saying things, but I said, look, it's too hot. You know, I'm not a masochist to that level. You know, I don't like the heat. I don't like sweating. Most people don't, but in other words, I just dropped whatever I was doing and just went on my merry way. If we did get a cooler day, I'd go out for a walk or go out to the stores to stock up my food, and that's what I was doing. But this is the end of this type of video for this unit. The next, if I finish it up and clean it all up and put it all back together again, you'll see me tuning it up. Okay, doing the next step. Right now, I went as far as I can mechanically into this thing, so the next person will realize it's maybe over their head. You know, in my case, this isn't over my head. This is annoying. Okay, because you know, I have to study this. You know, if I pull this gear off, it's got an anti-backlash. It's double set of gears. I'll lose that. I can put a scribe line, but if I put this in the wrong spot, it's out of sync with the capacitor. And they probably have it where they put it together a certain way. Maybe this way, this capacitor fully closed, and they put it a certain way. Well, I don't know. There's a lot of gears involved, and I don't see any synchronization marks. In VCRs, some models put little arrows You take it all apart, all the gears, and you get rid of the molybdenum grease. That's all, and you clean it all up. You put in some really good grease, and you put the gears in so the arrows line up with each other. And then when you turn the VCR on, it goes to the right, like it go zzz, and it's shut down. Then you turn it on again from 0, reset it, turn on, it turned the other way, zzz, and I'm like, what am I gonna do? No, that's it. It self-adjusted itself. As long as you got the arrows, and I saw those arrows, and I turned the VCR a certain way, so all those arrows lined up. I said to me, that's how they do it. But the thing still, when I turned it on for the first time after moving those gears, it did a reset. It went clack, clack, clack one way, and clack, clack, and there was gears that actually had like a ratchet position. They could actually ratchet 1 or 2 positions right or left, and it resynchronized itself. And in the book in the library that I looked at, it says, if you take all those gears apart, the VCR is junk. They didn't say there's little arrows. They didn't know it was the exact same VCR. And that's when I started learning. I said, these people that write books, a lot of times, they do it real quick. It's all fluff. It's never going to really help you fix anything. Now, in my case, I hope I helped you, and you now know what you're up against. And, you know, understanding the split gear after you have one in your hand. And I did have a video on it. I deleted one of those videos. See, a lot of people started making these really nasty comments, and I don't like that. And I try to explain to people, you really should know what the preset on a split gear is. It could be 1 tooth, 2 teeth, or 3 teeth. And you rotate the thing. You rotate the 2 halves, and you'll feel the spring either compressing or pulling apart. This type uses a tension spring. I believe it's tension and compression. That's sort of, I sort of remember that, but this is a tension spring. Other ones use what they call compression. And you have to know how many teeth you preload it, and then you put it in position, and then it gets locked in position by the next gear. But this is a holy hell. If you don't know how to calibrate this and get those gears set right, that's it. You know, I'm like, at this point, right now it's nap time. I'm going to take a nap. I'm going to upload this video, and this, like I said, this is basically the last of this. You know, unless I should figure this out, maybe I'll tell you. But in your case, just clean the gears, re-lube them, put it back together, okay, and then hope for the best. But and then these two capacitors, you know, they sit like this in the radio, or in the transmitter. Here I can say, right, and then you got this coupler, okay. And it's very easy to loosen it and get this one synchronized with that one. You can measure the capacitance. You could do it that way. But once you mess the front dial, there's a little pin that sticks out of here, and that's where the dial sits on, and it goes through a little hole. Once you mess with this, you better know what you're doing. And right now, I admit it, I don't know. Okay? And the manuals on this stuff is mostly electronic. In other words, capacitor bad, retune this, retune that. It doesn't go down to the mechanical part, where if you have to take this apart. And I've never found that manual. I might go looking and see if it exists. But, you know, this probably in the war, they would just call this a module and take it out, and then put it off to the side, and maybe it would go back to production, and they would fix it there. But I have no clue. I know about gears, but when I worked with these split gears years ago, with synchros, and there was ones called, let me think about it. Oh man, there's two. There was I can't think of it now. There's a transmitter and there's a receiver. A differential circuit. What it would do is it would give you the position of the 2 flaps together. It would like add and subtract 2 flaps on the aircraft, and then the differential would send the signal up to one of the instruments, and it would show you the differential. And I thought that gear mechanism was so cool, and I never had to work on one. They never seemed to send them in for repair, but I saw one, and I got really like, that's really cool, because you move the one synchro a certain amount and the other synchro. These are receiver synchros. One would turn 1, a little bit, and the other one would turn, and then you get the difference of the two as a differential signal. There's some pretty cool stuff. You know, you can do a lot mechanically, and that's why a lot of people go into. They like the look of. I think it's called steampunk, and they like the look of doing stuff mechanically versus electronic. And there's a lot to be said for mechanical stuff. You know, if you're good mechanically, you look at something, you can see what's wrong. And in some cases, people, like I said, they oil and grease the wrong things. And it's just hilarious. Like, you can have an argument with a moron that thinks you should spray WD-40 on a rubber belt with notches in it. And that's what the guy did on that one paper unit. It was a high-speed card reader. It was a Docutel high-speed card reader. And the guy out in the field just sprayed all the pulleys, all the gears with WD-40. And then nothing worked right. Sent it in. I had to totally take that machine apart and swab it all down and put it all back together. And it worked. You know, it was a matter of the rollers that pick up the card. They were glazed. That's all that was wrong with it. But the guy, you know, you think when you spray something, you run a couple cards through, it's working. You think that it was lubrication, but it's not. What actually happens is the roller wheels, as they're on, as the machine's on a while, they get a little bit more grippier. And then when you shut it off and it gets cooler, then the rollers that are glazed, they're very slippery. And you get what you call the machine is sick in the morning. It starts to work better as it warms up. And it always comes down to a part that needs to be changed. Okay? Really lubrication in that case. I think that's it. All right, it's time for a nap. That's it.